After meeting Rudo, I asked him to get a band together for me to play on a session basis so we could do a corporate.
We put a band together for him. We came together in one room, had Maddie there, and we basically wrote Real World.
I don't know who this cat was, but when we got back to Joburg, we hooked up a jam session, and it's pretty much where all the magic started.
We started rehearsing for the show, and I mean, it was literally like 2 days and the band had started, you know. It was just a natural process.
You know, we started playing around and started writing sort of our own thing. It just kind of happened by a complete accident, you know. Everything fell into place without any effort, and I think that is what kind of epitomizes GWP, is the way that things kind of fit in together, and there's a natural gift and a natural talent and a natural energy that kind of comes through, and we found it from day one. Coming from different musical backgrounds works in a way that kind of goes against the tide, but it's good. The end result is good. You know, it's like playing Lego. You know, you're putting a whole bunch of blocks together. You never quite know what the end result's going to be. You just know that those blocks should fit there, and if they don't fit there, you kind of use your imagination and you make them fit. And I think that's what we've done. You know, the language in which we speak when we communicate on a musical level is a great one. I often use the analogy of like there's an entity kind of conducting that, you know, and I know a lot of the boys feel the same way about it. And I think that is kind of pulling us together, and there's this real kind of pull and push effect that's happening all the time, and these influences are coming through, and they're a lot stronger in some regards, and they're sort of take a bit of a backseat in other regards. So the guys really know when to shine and when to kind of pull back.
So, Rudo's more from the jazz side, Reino's rock, indie. I've got the whole pop thing going on. Graham's also got some like old school jazz influences coming through, you know. He's got that tone of voice that does it, you know, but I know he's also very current on his influences. How do we join the four together is quite something that I've tried to think to myself how to explain it, but it's quite difficult because we actually rely on each other to create this music.
You know, Rudo's bass lines are uniquely Rudo, you know. I mean, he's more of a jazz sort of player, and in a rock environment it brings a whole new set of ideas, you know. And same with Maddie, he's like a straight up pop drummer, loves listening to stuff like Celine Dion or whatnot, you know. And that brings a whole nother side to the band, and everybody joining in together creates that unique sound. I mean, it wouldn't have been the same without those different influences.
Once the four of us get into a room, it's all about communication. So someone will lock into some idea and another one will follow, and it's all about just taking the song to where it needs to be instead of forcing your idea upon it.
Someone comes up with something, whether it's a drum beat or a bass line or a guitar line, and we just feed off each other and we go, oh cool, you know what, that sounds like a chorus, that sounds like a verse. And then G-Bob Graeme is just sitting over there with his headphones, just doing his thing, coming up with words, coming up with lyrics, coming up with melodies, and we sort of just put it together.
Yeah. See, when we just started out, it was wide influence from people who have never played together before. And I think as we went along, we grew into each other's minds almost, you know. And at this stage, I sort of know what Maddie's ideas are and know what Reino's ideas are, and everyone is familiar with everyone's ideas. So it's amazing.
The progression it's been it's been a good one because you can actually hear the first songs that we wrote to the latter ones. Just purely, I think we started writing in summer and we ended writing in winter, so you can hear that transition, you know, from happier to darker, and it's a good progression, I think, you know, and from here on forward it's just going to keep on progressing, you know. We're a progressive rock band. That's what we do.
We identified the things that worked for us, that we liked, as well as the things that kind of bothered us. We put it out on a lot of our social networks and allowed the public to greatly influence the direction in which the band was going. We definitely found a trend with like the more kind of dancier side of GWP, which was working in our favor. And there were some things that weren't, and I think if you listen to the album and kind of the growth of the album, you'll definitely be able to identify the earlier songs to the later songs, you know. And also I think a lot of the growth was due to sort of current influences musically, as well as kind of past influences, you know, and we definitely grew as a unit and as a bunch of guys, and we learned each other's sort of strengths and weaknesses as well, you know. So I think the growth has been a good one and a positive one, and I'm excited to see what happens in the second album. It's not about knowing what the correct sound for the album is. It's more of the feeling you get when listening to the album. And you can identify whether that feeling's a good one or a bad one. You know when something's good and you know when something's bad, but I think as an artist, you're always most harsh on your own work, and you criticize yourself more and more, but you've got to keep in mind that when listening to other people's work, they felt exactly the same. And I think it's about trusting your instincts and allowing yourself that freedom of almost distancing yourself from your work and going, there's nothing more I can do. They're going to be critics and they're going to be fans.
With recording this album, it happens on a bit of a smaller scale. We record our songs and we go, okay, this is us doing the best that we can do, and it sounds really nice. And then 2 weeks later, we write Music Affair, and all of a sudden we're like, okay, this is something that's really, really special. And you've got 2 or 3 of those like landmark songs that we came across, and all of a sudden you understand what we do best, and then we create the rest of the songs with that in mind.
The theme of the album is corridors of the mind, like the album title says. It's an experience. It's like going back in your mind through your week and all the things that you've seen and everything you've done and everything you've experienced, and just putting that out on tape.
The title of the album, it's actually quite a funny story. We were working on a song, you and I at the time, and there's a phrase, corridors of the mind, in there, and Graeme got called up for a telephone interview, and they actually asked him, what's the title of this album that you are bringing out, you know. At the time we hadn't even discussed it at all between the guys, and Graeme just sort of had to make a call right there, because, you know, they were asking, and he said corridors of the mind, and hoping that we would like it. And luckily, as we heard it, we went, that's it, that explains the whole album as it is. And
I recommend, when you put it in for the first time, put your headphones on, close your eyes, close the blinds, and just listen to what it is we're trying to say and what it is we're trying to do. And I think you'll appreciate it, and the nuances in there. Everything's purposefully placed. There's nothing left by chance.
My hope is that this album can go out there and do what Matchbox 20 and Counting Crows did for me in like when I was 16, 17 years old. That was like, when I think back to those years of my life, those are the 2 bands that come to my mind, and like, it like defines you, it inspires you, it makes you want to be involved in music more, you know, and hopefully that this album can do the same thing.
I think a statement or something that I want people to take away from when listening to this album is that for me it's about being taken seriously as a musician, as an artist. It's a build-up of my life's work, and hopefully I can continue to create as long as you, the audience, will allow me to, and respect it for what it is and appreciate it for what it is, because I'm so proud of it, and I hope you're proud of it too. So as South Africans, as a fellow South African, we want to dominate here and we want to dominate abroad.
With the music, and you